I don't know.
Hey, Peter.
What?
How are you?
How you doing? Doing good, thank you. How are you?
Well, I sent you that text.
I'm using your draft here. I think you read it. Why now?
Is she?
I don't know. Tom's coming. He's coming. No, I'm not being. You're good. Not bad. Just don't ask you to get up and down out of that chair too often. You. Yeah, actually. Just on the. Gotta have to.
Okay, well. Well, before we call this meeting to order, Alderman Mcclanahan, would you like to give the invocation? Thank you.
Pastor Dixworth.
She's not here
Okay,
tonight, so
sure,
thank you.
Sure. Certainly don't have any prepared. I don't have any prepared comments or anything, so let's pray. Father, we thank you for this evening. We thank you for bringing us all together. We thank you for the opportunities that you place before us. I ask that you would give wisdom and guidance to all the individuals who are in the places here. Thank you for the individuals also who will be starting their service as well. And just give them wisdom and guidance as well. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
We officially call this meeting to order, the special meeting of the City Council. Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Mayor Miller,
Here.
Keister, Chesney,
Here.
Clem,
Here.
Mcclanahan,
Here.
Ross,
Here.
Smith, I believe he's on his way, Busker,
Here.
Brashaw,
Here. Alderman Chesney, would you mind giving the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on the agenda is the approval of the agenda, but prior to that, I just wanted to make note that there are a few changes on some expiration dates that were just clerical errors. So a few of them just noted for the record. On 4B, Quincy Carter should say February 22nd, 2019. 4D, Blake Musser should say December 31st, 2019. Evan Talbot, December 31st, 2018. Amy Fairweather, December 31st, 2017. 4A, Rebecca Quiggle should say May 31st, 2020. H would be Mike Mead saying February 28th, 19. Joan Welt, February 28th, 20. Pam Borowski, February 28th, 2020. And then also on line number 3, it says introduction and opening remarks. It should actually say swearing in, introduction and opening remarks. So if there is no objection to the current information, is there a motion for the approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
The agenda was motion made by Alderman Busker, seconded by Alderman Ross. All those in favor, oh, we need a voice vote.
That's fine, Mayor.
Okay. Yes.
Can we please clarify that the motion to approve the agenda is as amended with those
Okay,
changes that you were making?
so we have the motion made to approve the agenda with the amended changes. All those in favor of approving the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And the agenda is approved. So we will move on to item number 2, which is public comments, and we have one. Steve Carroll, if you would like to step up to the podium, you have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Jeez. Okay, Steve Carroll, 811 Oak, Freeport. Some time ago, I had mentioned to Jody Miller, who is now our current mayor, mentioned my concerns about the way the Housing Authority was being run. And if you remember in a recent council meeting, I referred to the way it was being run as Cold War East Berlin, complete with wall. And it hasn't changed. However, I would like to thank Mayor Miller for nominating Rhonda Becker and Robert Reimer to serve on the Housing Authority Board. This is a step in the direction with which we can take that wall down. I urge you to confirm these nominations. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 3. Lowell, if you'll go to the center with me.
Just pick the whole thing up, move it.
I knew I should. Lowell, can raise your hand. I, Lowell Crowe,
I, Lowell Crowe,
being appointed as the city manager
being appointed as the city manager
in the city of Freeport,
in the city of Freeport,
in the county of Stevenson,
in the county of Stevenson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I faithfully discharge
the duties of my appointment
the duties of my appointment
according to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Wonderful. Thank you. So it is my great pleasure to introduce to you our first our first professional city manager, Lowell Crowe. Thank you, Lowell.
Sorry to jump in the gun there, Mayor, but I'll make my, just have a few remarks as I'll make it down from my seat here. Gotta- I'm sorry, I'm rough a little paper here. council and mayor as well as the transition committee for putting their trust in me as the city's first city manager. I hope this is the longest address you ever hear me make in front of the city council. I want to express truly how honored I am in this trust. And Gwen and I are establishing our roots very quickly here in Freeport, having purchased a house in the city, and Gwen will be moving up here as soon as the school year has been completed. We are also looking forward to becoming involved in multiple community organizations and making Freeport our home for a long time. We are definitely all in for Freeport. I truly look forward to working with the city's outstanding staff, which I met today, to meet the needs of the community and execute the desires of the council and mayor. I'm excited about the future that Freeport faces. I believe that we are at the very tipping point for the city. We have an exciting opportunity to move at lightning pace. Our goal is to make Freeport a top-tier 21st century city. Under the manager form of government, I and the city staff work for the elected body in executing the policies of the elected body. Because decisions on policy in the future community made by the entire government body rather than a single individual, council manager governments are more often engaged in involving their residents in this decision making. Residents guide their community by serving on boards and commissions, participating in envisioning and strategic planning, and designing the community-oriented local government services. We still have many ordinances that need to be updated, as well as structures that need to be changed to reflect these changes. My goal is to make these changes rapidly and seamlessly as possible. We face many challenges in the future, but I do not view them as obstacles or challenges, but rather as opportunities to improve Freeport. Over the next 90 days, as part of the budget process, we'll be looking at how to deliver services. So we're looking at the structure of the staff to move Freeport into the 21st century. Where we believe the staff will be better served, a new structure will be proposed, and that structure will be moved to modify how we give services to the citizens of Freeport. These will be including the execution of the street crime unit to focus on our anti-gun gang and anti-gun violence efforts in high crime neighborhoods, as well as a task force to develop new public safety plan that works for our community. As part of this plan, we developed a comprehensive strategy to improve neighborhoods through aggressive strategy for neighborhood blight reduction and property maintenance enforcement. We also look at how we can work better with the staff, city staff, as well as nonprofit organizations within the city to bring new businesses to Freeport while retaining those businesses that are key to the city's business community and streamlining the process within City Hall to make it a place that encourages business growth and not seen as a hindrance to the small business community. One of the key tasks the council has given me is to continue the long overdue 40-year infrastructure improvement, including the repair and the replacement of the water and sanitation lines, as well as the improvement of roads, sidewalks, curbs, and gutters. We as a city staff will also move forward with coming up with recommendations for the old City Hall. In fact, tomorrow we're going to be making a tour through that to look at it. We're looking at the best options for either selling or recommissioning the building or demoing it over the next coming months. Finally, we begin as a part of the planning process working with the council and mayor to develop a strategic plan as well as updating our comprehensive plan through that process. We also move out aggressively to propose a budget that improves our services to our citizen, meets the requirements of the council and the mayor, and lay a roadmap for the future city of Freeport as well as the staff. Over the next year, I'll sit down every 90 days with the council to evaluate my progress as well as the progress of the staff and make adjustments to our plan to move Freeport forward. Again, we have exciting opportunities to move at lightning pace. Our goal is to make Freeport a destination place for new businesses, visitors, as well as a true beacon in the state of Illinois. I'm excited about the future and looking forward to what lies ahead of us as a staff and city. I am truly all in for Freeport. Thank you again.
Thank you, Lowell. Next is the acceptance of the appointments, but first I would just like to thank all of those that have served for years and years and years on our boards and our commissions, and I'm so excited to see so many new people wanting to step up and be involved in these areas. So anyway, first on this, it would be item 4A, and what would be the council's pleasure individually, or can we block them off in A, B, C?
Mayor?
Alderman Brescia.
Thank you, Mayor Miller. We all looked through the acceptance of the appointments and the appointment lists that you have here. The Airport Commission, the Ethics Commission, the Housing Authority, the Board of Directors, for the CVB. the Liquor Commission, and the Freeport Public Library Board of Trustees, the Building Commission, the Historic Preservation Group, and the Planning Commission. And I am proud of you and the people that helped you get this list together of the 22 appointments. And it's my recommendation to the council that we accept them as groups, such as the Airport Commission. I know it's the pleasure of the council. As you can see, Mayor Miller and Dovey had included the information on each individual person, whether it was a resume or a list of qualifications for these positions, and I believe everyone on this list is highly recommended and highly skilled for their position. So if it's all right with the council, general consensus, would you be willing to accept these as groups?
I'll second.
Okay,
If
looks like
that's a
that's the
motion.
direction we'll take then. So, Madam Clerk, could you please read into the record the appointments for Airport Commission?
Airport Commission, effective immediately, Mayor Jody Miller appoints Craig Jostin to the Airport Commission through November 30th, 2020. Effective immediately, Mayor Jody Miller appoints Dave Fonda to the Airport Commission through November 30th, 2018. Effective immediately, Jody Miller appoints Daniel Noble to the Airport Commission through November 30th, 2019. Effective immediately, Jody Miller appoints Tim Smith to the Airport Commission through November 30th, 2019.
Mayor,
Alderman Chesney.
motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Alderman Chesney, seconded by Alderman Busker, on the acceptance of the appointments for the Airport Commission. All those in favor? No, does it need to be individual? A roll? Do you want to do a roll? Let's do a roll. Okay. Madam Clerk, if you could take the roll on the appointments for the Airport Commission.
Keister,
Aye.
Chesney,
Aye.
Clem,
No.
Mcclanahan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Brashaw.
Aye.
Passes 7-1.
And Madam Clerk, if you could read into the record the Ethics Committee, or Ethics Commission, sorry.
For the Ethics Commission, effective immediately, Mayor Jody Miller appoints Quincy Carter to the Ethics Commission through February 22nd, 2019.
Mayor,
Alderman Busker.
motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the Ethics Commission appointment by Alderman Busker, seconded by Alderman Ross. Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Keister,
Aye.
Chesney,
Aye.
Clem,
Aye.
Mcclanahan,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Brashaw.
Aye.
Passes 8-0.
And next, 4C is the Housing Authority. Madam Clerk, could you please read that into the record?
Effective immediately, Mayor Jody Miller appoints Rhonda Becker to the Housing Authority through October 31st, 2019. Effective immediately, Mayor Jody Miller appoints Robert Reimer to the Housing Authority through October 31st, 2018.
We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the Housing Authority appointments by Alderman Busker, seconded by Alderman Ross. Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Keister,
No.
Chesney,
Aye.
Clem, Mcclanahan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Brashaw.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-1.
Next is 4D, the appointments for the directors of the CVB. Madam Clerk, could you please read those into the record?
Effective immediately, Mayor Jody Miller appoints Blake Musser to Board of the Stevenson County Conventioners Bureau through December 31st, 2019. Effective immediately, Mayor Jody Miller appoints Evan Tal, Stevenson County Convention and Visitors Bureau through December 31st, 2018. Effective immediately, Mayor Jody Miller appoints Amy Fairweather to the Stevenson County Convention and Visitors Bureau through December 31st, 2017.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion made by Alderman Brashaw, seconded by Alderman Chesney, to approve the appointments on the CVB board. Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Keister,
No.
Chesney,
Aye.
Clem,
Aye.
Mcclanahan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Brashaw.
Aye.
Passes 7-1.
And then 4D is the Liquor Commission. Madam Clerk, would you please read those into the record?
Effective immediately, Mayor Jody Miller appoints Don Parker to the Liquor Commission through May 31st, 2021. Effective immediately, Mayor Jody Miller appoints Stacy Knodel Fernstadt to the Liquor Commission through May 31st, 2018. Effective immediately, Mayor Jody Miller appoints Jeff Cutler to the Liquor Commission through May 31st, 2021. Effective immediately, Mayor Jody Miller appoints Tim Mahoney to the Liquor Commission through May 31st, 2021.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion to approve by Alderman Busker, seconded by Alderman Ross, to approve the appointments for the Liquor Commission. Madam Clerk, would you please take that roll?
Keister,
No.
Chesney,
Aye.
Clem,
No.
Mcclanahan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Brashaw.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-2.
And item 4F is the appointments for the Library Board. Madam Clerk, would you please read that into the record?
Effective immediately, Mayor Jody Miller appoints Rebecca Quiggle to the Library Board through May 31st, 2020.
Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the Library Board Trustees by Alderman Brashaw, seconded by Alderman Smith. Madam Clerk, would you please take that roll?
Keister,
No.
Chesney,
Aye.
Clem,
No.
Mcclanahan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Brashaw.
Aye.
Passes 6-2.
And item 4G is the Building Commission. Madam Clerk, would you please read that into the record?
Effective immediately, Mayor Jody Miller appoints Ed Faulkner to the Building Commission through April 30th, 2021. Effective immediately. Excuse me. Effective immediately, Mayor Jody Miller appoints Lowell Crow to the Building Commission through May 31st, 2021.
Mayor,
Alderman Mcclanahan.
and a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Alderman Mcclanahan, seconded by Alderman Busker to approve the Building Commission. Madam Clerk, would you please take that roll?
Keister,
No.
Chesney,
Aye.
Clem,
Aye.
Mcclanahan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Brashaw.
Aye.
Passes 7-1.
And item 4H is the Historic Preservation. If you could read that into the record.
Effective immediately, Mayor Jody Miller appoints Pam Borowski to the Historic Preservation Commission through February 28th, 2020. Effective immediately, Mayor Jody Miller appoints Joan Welt to the Historic Preservation Commission through February 28th, 2020. Effective immediately, Mayor Jody Miller reappoints Mike Mead to the Historic Preservation Commission through February 28th, 2019. Effective immediately, Mayor Jody Miller reappoints Scott Miller to the Historic
It's
Scott Winter, pardon me. Effective immediately, Mayor Jody Miller reappoints Scott Winter to the Historic Preservation Commission through February 28th, 2020.
Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion made for the approval of the appointments by Alderman Brashaw, seconded by Alderman Busker. Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll on the Historic Preservation appointments?
Keister,
Aye.
Chesney,
Aye.
Clem,
No.
Mcclanahan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Brashaw.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-1.
And item I is the Planning Commission. Madam Clerk, if you could read that into the record.
Effective immediately, Mayor Jody Miller appoints Blake Musser to the Planning Commission through October 31st, through 2020.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion made by Alderman Brashaw, seconded by Alderman Ross for the appointment on the Planning Commission. Madam Clerk, would you please take that roll?
Keister,
No.
Chesney,
Aye.
Clem,
Aye.
Mcclanahan.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Busker.
Aye.
Brashaw.
Aye.
Passes 7-1.
Well, I would like to say congratulations to all of our newly appointed boards and commissions, and I just wanted to give the opportunity, if any of you would like to come to the podium, to just say a few words. Well,
That's
we
a first,
appreciate
Tim.
your service, and I'm sure that you'll be more vocal when it comes to your meetings. So thank you very much for coming, and thank you for your service. So we will move on to item number 5, which is the first reading of ordinance 2017-41. Madam Clerk, if you could read that into the record.
An ordinance amending section 1442.11 of the codified ordinances of the city of Freeport, Illinois regarding building permit fee exemptions.
Alderman Chesney, would you like to take this?
Sure, thank you, Mayor. For the purposes of those viewing at home and for those that are a little newer on the council, there's some historical reference points that I'd like to refer you to. On around 2013, the threshold was $1,500. Mayor Gitz requested to the city council that it be raised to $5,000, and the compromise was $3,000. This is largely to address minor repairs. These are not structural items, electric, HVAC, or plumbing, but items that the council felt, as well as Mayor Gitz, that at the time that threshold needed to be raised. Thought process behind that was we wanted to encourage people to improve their properties, clean up their properties, and many felt that this was a way to entice homeowners to do so. After it was raised to $3,000, the former city council in 2015 raised it from 3 to 5. That was largely a compromise between the council and the mayor. The thought process behind that was let's see how it goes, if there was any impact, what impact it would have on the budget. There wasn't, it was really understood that at that point we were going to revisit this in a few years, which is why we're here today to revisiting the ordinance to improve, I guess, the flexibility for minor repairs. So what I did is I reached out to Finance Director Bernadelle as well as Director Mills to see what financial impact it would have to go to the initial and the original thought of $10,000 threshold. The total impact on the budget is about $2,700. I feel, as I hope many members of the City Council do, that we want to encourage local residents to fix up their properties. I feel this is one way, while I recognize a small impact financially to many people, can be a big number to some. And so that's why it is in first reading form. This conversation has been had for about 5 years now. I've discussed this with Director Mills as well as Mr. Bernadelle, and I think that there is appears to be broad consensus that has been reached at a threshold of $10,000. So for those that are new to this particular ordinance, that's how we got here. So I would certainly open this up to questions or comments.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor, Mrs. Mayor, Madam Mayor, we'll get it right here.
Alderman Clem.
As much as I agree with this in certain things, I believe that there's things in it that we need to take a look at. I had a discussion with Alex the other day because I had, Director Mills, on this, and one of the concerns I have is now all of a sudden we're at a $10,000 figure and somebody's going to replace one window, and all of a sudden you're going to see a new AC in there and you're going to see other things, and people are going to bypass getting permits. I realize that it states in there that any mechanical repair or any mechanical replacement has to be by a licensed contractor and has to be by have to have a permit for it. But that'll go back to when you start putting high ranges on stuff, I don't believe that's going to happen there as much. My other thing that I question is we have a building commission that we appointed a couple people to tonight, including the new city manager, that has looked at stuff and has changed many of the prices for permits, etc. I believe that it should be run through them to take a look at it to get their opinion on it also. $700 doesn't really sound like a lot, but I think you're opening up a real bag of worms. I'm not saying I'm not for it, okay? I'm just saying I think we need to take a look, possibly at a couple ways that it's written, to really separate the mechanical stuff and that stuff a little more. Because I foresee, you know, all of a sudden your $6,000 roof was, guy was getting a permit for $8,000 worth of stuff and thought, oh, I thought it was 6. Now we're up to 10. Pretty soon you're going to remodel 3/4 of a house, and there's going to be no accountability for it for the way it's done. My concern is the inspections and the permit of the licensed mechanical contractors.
Mayor,
Alderman Keister.
kind of expound on what Alderman Clem just said. This is for minor repairs. Now, maybe some of you don't consider $10,000 a minor repair. To me, $10,000 is a major repair. And I'm just concerned, as Alderman Clem is, about setting the limit that high and having repairs done that should be inspected aren't going to be inspected and stuff. And I think we really need to look at it and see if we do want to go that high or not. I personally would be against it at this point.
Mayor?
Alderman Chesney.
Thank you. Alderman Clem, the reason that it wasn't brought forward to the Building Commission is when we adjusted this in 2015, this was the practice of the City Council. So before putting this forward on the agenda, I reached out to Alderman Smith to see if he had any heartburn on the issue, and he suggested that he was open to the discussion. So the practice hasn't been on this particular ordinance that the Building Commission has been involved. It's really more, in my view, a function of policy. And I think that that is what the City Council is here to do. We've already addressed the dollar amount and the impact that it has. This doesn't change the scope of the work. This just changes if we charge a fee or not. I'd also point that in most cases, if not virtually all cases, with siding, a window, and HVAC, we're presently not inspecting them anyways. So for those that think at home that the permit fee that is being sent to the City of Freeport that you're receiving a service, it's just not the case. Now, I did reach out to Manager Lowell to express that if we are going to charge a fee for a permit, we need to be conducting some sort of work, or let's change it from a fee to a tax, because we're no longer providing a service. So in this particular scope of the ordinance, what I see is that we've raised the threshold, have not changed the scope of the work, and if it comes down to enforcement, I think that that's a separate conversation that needs to be had with the city manager.
Madam Mayor?
Alderman Clem.
I agree with some of the things that you said, Alderman Chesney. However, if you'll remember when this started out and the prices started to escalate, there was a building commission that hadn't met for years. In the last X number of years, the building commission has met monthly. I would believe, number one, it'd be a courtesy of them to do it. I think this is just a part of the whole situation here, ramming a whole bunch of stuff down our throats. There's some good things about it, some bad things about it. I told you right up front that I didn't necessarily disagree with it, but I think that we ought to take a look at the way some of the things are written in it, which I discussed with Alex about how the permits were, how the permits for the mechanicals and stuff were separated. Let's face it, you got the votes to do whatever you want to do.
Mayor,
Alderman Chesney.
I'd like to make a motion to move forward.
There's a motion to move ordinance 2017-41 forward. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
So we have an approval, or a motion made by Alderman Chesney, seconded by Alderman Brashaw for moving forward ordinance 2017-41. It will be automatically laid over to the next city council meeting.
Mayor,
Alderman Mcclanahan.
prior to layover, I just would like to comment briefly.
Sure.
Thank you. I'd note in regards to this that we have a couple weeks here before the next reading on it. The way I read it, the plain language exempts, or says specifically, we're not talking about these certain areas: electrical, plumbing, building, mechanical, boiler, commercial contractor. But I would encourage any alderman or other individual who indicate or believes that that language isn't sufficient to kind of explain that over the next couple weeks and see if you have any recommendations as to what could be clear on it. Bring that forward, and we'll look to address it on second reading.
Madam Mayor?
Alderman Clem.
Thank you, Mr. Mcclanahan. I appreciate it.
Okay, seeing no further.
Mayor,
Yes.
Mayor, just for clarification, we're moving that forward with recommendation or denial, or moving it forward with,
With the recommendation that if any of the council members have further input, they should do that between now and the next scheduled city council meeting.
thank you.
Moving on to item number 6, the adoption of resolution R 2017-31. Madam Clerk, would you please read that into the record?
Resolution of the City of Freeport, Illinois, instructing city staff to explore the process and options for the sale of 230 West Stevenson Street, Freeport, Illinois, and to solicit estimates for the cost of demolition.
Alderman Mcclanahan.
Thank you. The purpose of this resolution is just to keep this process moving forward in regards to this building. Some historical context back in 2011, as many of you are aware, we, different administration, different council, well, mostly different council, had made the decision for a variety of reasons to leave those premises at the time, and those reasons have been stated numerous times. And then we rented in the building just down the street for a period of years. The 2 years ago, the majority of what is now this council made the decision. When we looked at a variety of options, we got a variety of estimates. There was some analysis over the last 6 years in regards to other buildings in town, this building that we're in right here, continuing to rent, renovation, and rehabilitation of the old City Hall building. When we ultimately reviewed that and saw the information that we had on that and some of the figures that were on that, for instance, I think the most recent figure that they had for just taking care of some of the maintenance issues, stopping some of the damage, was around $686,000. Costs of full rehab were in excess of $4 million, somewhere between 4 and 5 were the general numbers that we had. The numbers that we had for rehabbing this and coming to where we are today on this building was in the ballpark of $2.25 million. We made the decision that we're going to go ahead and rehab this. So here we are now in 2017. We're not renting down the road. We rehabbed this building. We're here, but we still have the building that's our responsibility, has the fence on it. So as we're moving forward, we've obviously made a $2.25 million investment in this building here and saying this is where we're going to be for the foreseeable future. What are we going to do about our old building there? So the purpose of this resolution is there's a variety of options. One option is looking at what are the options for a potential sale of the building, and frankly, I don't want to put parameters on that. I want us to explore what the parameters are on that. There could be a variety of options in that and ways that works out. Also, we need to explore, though, as we're doing that, what are the costs of demolition for a variety of reasons. Everybody's said that that's kind of the last option, but we need to know what the figures are on that. I know we've had some figures in the past, and I certainly am not discounting that, but as we're going forward, let's look at what the current prices are for all of our options. And also, that's a useful benchmark for saying if we're going to be moving forward on option A regards to sale or repurposing of that building, what's the city willing to bring to the table for that? So what this resolution does here is it authorizes the city manager and staff to bring back to us within 60 days what are our options on that? What are the costs associated with that for both potential sale and potential demolition? And I don't think the resolution does anything further than that, other than we'll hear back, if we pass the resolution, we'll hear back in 60 days from the city manager and staff.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Alderman Brashaw.
Thank you. I was hoping this would be something also that our historic preservation group could look at, and maybe they would have some ideas amongst them. A lot of them have a lot of real estate knowledge. A lot of you know I was a proponent for saving the old City Hall building, and I hope it still can be saved. If not, and we can't do that, I obviously know what that dire situation would be. I was very interested in the one whereas, I'm sorry, Mayor, may I continue? Thank you. Where it says, whereas despite the aforementioned costs and the City of Freeport's commitment to 314 West Stevenson Street, Freeport, Illinois, for its current and future City Hall operations, the City of Freeport recognizes the significance that 230 West Stevenson Street, Freeport, Illinois has played in the City of Freeport's history, and desires to explore all feasible options for the building. So we're not necessarily looking at demolition, but we are looking at all options, with demolition obviously being the last domino to fall if it has to be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Alderman Chesney?
Thank you. Mayor, I'd like to commend you on your leadership. Two previous administrations have not been willing to take this on. I was excited to learn that this particular proposal was in your 100-day agenda. I do believe that the City Council share an interest with your administration on moving forward on this. And your comments in the paper regarding leading by example, a city fence around a city building, asking people to clean up their properties, it just doesn't work. So we must lead by example. We must take action. I look forward to seeing the proposal laid out by the city manager. So I fully support the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Alderman Busker?
Yeah, I'm in favor of this also. Thing I just like to let the council know that, you know, once we get the recommendations back, I'm pretty sure we're gonna see some due diligence here done by the new city manager and his staff. When we get those recommendations, I think we need to move swiftly instead of just kicking the can down the road again, using one of our former alderman's sayings. But I look forward to seeing it, and with that, I make a motion to adopt resolution R 2017-32.
Second.
We have a motion to adopt Resolution 2017-32 by Alderman Busker, seconded by Alderman Keister. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll on the adoption of Resolution 2017-32?
Keister,
Aye.
Chesney,
Aye.
Clem,
Aye.
Mcclanahan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Brashaw.
Aye.
Passes 8-0.
Okay, next is item number 7, the adoption of Resolution 2017-33. Madam Clerk, would you please read that into the record?
Resolution of the City of Freeport, Illinois, in support of the Freeport Police Department and a continued commitment to combating crime.
This resolution is pretty simple, basically saying we support our policemen and our policewomen as well, that we greatly value them and we appreciate them, and we are dedicated to fighting crime along with you. So we are forming a public task force that would be made up with our departments of fire and police and community development, along with collaboratively working with our sheriff and our state's attorney, along with other individuals in the community, and planning to get this going in the right direction and presenting a public safety revise within the next 90 days. In fact, we're going to be meeting this weekend to get that task force underway under the leadership of City Manager Crow. So any questions concerning this resolution?
Mayor?
Alderman Keister.
I agree that we need to support our police department 100%, and fighting crime is terribly important and vital to the city. The one problem I have with this resolution has got nothing to do with the police department. I have nothing but respect and support for them. But we have a lot of departments in this town that need our support as well to keep this city running, and to have a resolution just to support one department when we don't have a resolution to support all the departments, I do not believe is right, and for that reason and that reason alone, I will not support this.
Well, thank you, Alderman Keister. It's just to be able to put into effect that public safety task force by resolution.
Mayor.
We do support them all.
Mayor.
Yeah. Alderman Ross.
Okay, in regards to what Alderman Keisha says, I will be in support of this, because we got a major problem out there right now. We got a problem with people, young individuals with guns. They're shooting all over the place. As you may not know, last couple Saturdays ago, they were over by my house, a little too close for me. Now, I'm gonna support it. If I could support it twice, I'm gonna support it twice. But I just wanna say that we need this. Yes, all the other departments need support too. They will get support. But this is something that needs to be done. Soon as bullets come flying through your window, you're gonna wish you had supported it. And, you know, that's just it. I mean, it's something that,
Report fire departments, the Stevenson County Sheriff, the Stevenson County State's Attorney, and any other departments or agencies advisable in formulating the revised public safety plan. This is targeted towards the revised public safety plan. It's needed. It incorporates a variety of our entities, and I say we wholeheartedly move forward with it.
Mayor?
Chief.
Thank you. First of all, I appreciate the support. And Alderman Keister's right, where all the department heads and all the departments need support. I wish we weren't here talking about this right now. I mean, I don't feel good about that. It is going to take an all-in effort by all of those agencies that you just spoke of. Alderman Ross, that was Mother's Day weekend that they were shooting over by your residence. And Alderman Keister, I know the incidents that's happened in your neighborhood too as well. I mean, so this isn't isolated into one portion of it. This is a mentality that we're going to have to combat. And I'm confident.
Resolution 2017-33 by Alderman Busker, seconded by Alderman Ross. Is there any further discussion on this resolution?
Mayor?
Clem.
Aye.
Mcclanahan.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Busker.
Aye.
Brescia.
Aye.
Passes unanimously 8-0.
Next on the agenda is the adoption of Resolution 2017-34. Alderman Chesney.
Thank you, Mayor. And my comments will be brief, and then I'll pass this over to Alderman Mcclanahan. He's been working with FDDF as well. This resolution is to convey the termination of our financial arrangements with Freeport Downtown Development Foundation. For those that don't know, unique situation for the council as well as FDDF that everybody can part ways amicably and feel good about it. I don't think you can find many times in private public partnerships where we can shake hands and go our separate ways, and I believe everybody feels good about it. So I know that Alderman Mcclanahan reached out to FDDF and also attended their most recent meeting to convey the desires of what he felt, as I do, as the majority of the city council, and I would just open it to Peter for comments.
Alderman Mcclanahan.
Thank you, Mayor. I would agree with the majority of, well, actually, I'd agree with what your comments were in regards to that, and just add on to it a little bit. As you'd indicated, this isn't something that came up overnight. We've had discussions with the director there, and at the same time that the city is looking at all of our various fundings, our funding shortfalls in some areas, and what is applicable, FDDF is also looking at their model. And one of the things that came up during those discussions was that FDDF is looking to shift their model away from being reliant on city money, and at the same time that we were looking at drawing down our city commitment. However, the idea was we're not just looking to necessarily cut the feet out from under them without much notice. So we talked about a variety of options, and kind of our one that we did talk about at their board meeting last week was doing one more year in regards to that, and then going our separate ways funding-wise moving forward. Certainly supports, I know FDDF's kind of been getting involved more in events and things of that nature, trying to ramp up their events citywide. They had a couple of them, just one on Friday and one on Saturday. And those don't necessarily always meet into the criteria of TIF eligible expenses and things of that nature. So that's what led to this resolution here going forward.
Mayor,
Alderman Brescia.
may I read part of this for the listening public?
Sure.
Excuse me. I don't think the title was read into record. Do you want to do that too while you're at it, please?
Thank you.
Or do you have it?
I can do that, I believe.
Thank you.
Mayor, is that all?
Sure.
Resolution of the City of Freeport, Illinois, discontinuing funding to the Freeport Downtown Development Foundation, resolution number R-2017-34. Would you like me to continue?
Sure.
The whereas? Whereas the City of Freeport is a municipal corporation and a home rule unit of local government of the state of Illinois, pursuant to Section 6 of Article 7 of the Illinois Constitution of 1970, as amended. And whereas the city currently contributes yearly funding to the Freeport Downtown Development Foundation, known as FDDF, a not-for-profit corporation that promotes the enhancement of business facilities, infrastructure, real estate, and neighborhoods in the city's central district. And whereas the city and FDDF acknowledge and agree that FDDF's business model has changed and that it no longer makes sense for the city to continue to contribute to FDDF's funding. And whereas the city desires to provide one final contribution to FDDF in the amount of $60,000, and whereas the city has determined that discontinuing further funding to FDDF is in the best interest of the city and its citizens. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Freeport, Illinois as follows. Section 1, the foregoing recitals shall be and are hereby incorporated in this Section 1 as if said recitals were fully set forth. Section 2, except as provided in Section 3 below, the City Council hereby discontinues any further funding contributions to the FDDF. Section 3, the City Council hereby authorizes one final contribution to the FDDF in the amount of $60,000. The city reserves the right to allocate the payment of said $60,000 over a 2-year period as allowed by the city's annual budget. Section 4, if any section, paragraph, clause, or provision of the resolution shall be held invalid, said invalidity shall not affect any other provision of this resolution. Section 5, this resolution shall be in full force and effect after its passage and approval in the manner provided by law. Section 6, that this resolution is being passed pursuant to the Home Rule authority of the City of Freeport as given by Section 6 of Article 7 of the Illinois Constitution of 1970 as amended.
Mayor.
Alderman Chesney.
Alderman Bradshaw, can you repeat that?
Actually, I think
I have one
Attorney
comment.
Zito, you got the...
Yep.
Okay.
Just before we begin discussion, I would just note that Mayor Miller requested an amendment to the Section 3 that reads, the city manager in conjunction with the city legal counsel shall have the right to review and approve any proposed project utilizing said $60,000. That's Section 3. So I would make a motion to move forward with the amendment.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion to move forward with the adoption of Resolution 2017-34 with the amendment by Alderman Chesney, seconded by Alderman Brashaw. Any further discussion?
Mayor, Madam Mayor,
Alderman Mcclanahan.
thank you. Is the main intent of the amendments to make sure, obviously, if we're going to have something and we're using TIF funds, that it's a TIF eligible expense, largely?
Yes.
Mayor? Yes, correct, Alderman McClanahan. I think the idea and the thought that the mayor had, along with city council, is that we wanted to have more oversight over the $60,000. So wisdom was that the city manager would be the one, in conjunction with the city attorney, of working through what additional work we'll be doing for the $60,000.
Madam Mayor,
Alderman Clem.
this will be discussion. I brought it up here because it affects the other part also. If they're so willing to give up their funding, nothing's gone before any finance committee, we haven't even started the budget or anything else, give me one good reason why the hell we're giving them $60,000.
Mayor?
Alderman Chesney.
This was a negotiated package.
By who?
It was a negotiated package.
By who?
Mayor?
Alderman Chesney.
There was conversations that happened between Alderman McClanahan and FDDF. There were certain members on the city council that worked individually with FDDF that wanted to realign TIF priorities. TIF priorities that were not limited to just Freeport downtown, but also the other TIFs. This particular resolution is going to, if it's executed, will be limiting and reducing the funding for FDDF. There's people that serve on this board, Alderman Clem. There are many conversations that have been had on this particular issue. As you know, we have always funded FDDF in recent history to the tune of $50,000. I think that Alderman McClanahan, as do myself, individually working with FDDF, feel that $10,000 to eliminate any future funding is a wonderful deal. I think all parties would be happy with this if it is voted on and approved by the city council.
Madam Mayor,
Alderman Clem.
Where do we get to $10,000 all of a sudden? I mean, it's $60,000. If you're gonna cut off funding, cut off funding. I mean, if you don't think it's right, if you don't think it's right, and they agree that, hey, we aren't living up to our end of the bargain, we aren't doing X, Y, Z, cut off their funding, period, end of conversation.
Alderman Mcclanahan, would you like to bring some clarity to that?
Sure. Nobody likes to see how sausage is made, but let's delve into the sausage process for a moment here. As the conversations went on, again, there was a couple intents here in regards to it. One was to, in the long term, move away from this funding mechanism, and two, also the idea. Sure, if somebody wanted, I suppose you can go to any entity and then just say, hey, well, we're done in year one. But the idea was, can we come to an amicable scenario whereby the city divests itself of funding, the agency has a period of time to adjust to that. Because frankly, the 50,000, if I recall, it's not an insubstantial or unsubstantial portion of their budget. So the thought process was, we're just not going to cut it off from them right away. Initially, we looked at, do we have a multi-year drawdown on it? And that's where you get the 60, if you're asking about the 60. A multi-year drawdown, do we take 10 off this year? Just a moment, Alderman Clem. Take 10 off this year down to 40. And then in the year two, make another 20 down to 20,000. And then in year three, you're done. And as the conversation evolved, then other individuals said, well, if the dollar figure you're talking about over that period of time is 60,000, do we just maybe do it in 1 year and be done with it? So we arrived, we talked about those options and arrived at what I thought was frankly kind of unique scenario whereby the city is divesting from the funding in the near future. The organization's going in a different path, but we did it in a way that didn't disrupt operations, was largely received by the various entities on it and going forward. If somebody has a different suggestion in regards to it, they can certainly make whatever motion they believe is appropriate or bring forward whatever resolution they believe is appropriate, and it can be deliberated by the body.
Madam Mayor?
Alderman Clem.
Once more, I just have to reiterate, if you're going to cut off funding to them, cut off funding to them. It's plain and simple. If they're not playing the game the way they ought to play the game, stop the funding. The other thing I'll bring up, this has never been before a finance committee. It has never been before a committee. As far as I'm concerned, and I have all the respect in the world for the guy sitting next to me, it's nothing more than a backroom, drummed-up deal to end the thing. There's been no discussion on the floor till now. And I once again will say, you guys got the votes to do it, so it doesn't make any difference. I'll just withdraw there. Thank you.
Madam Mayor.
Alderman Mcclanahan.
I heard two things from you, Alderman Clem. One was throw it all the way out, and then the other was not do it. So which one do you prefer? Are you making a motion on either one?
I'll make a motion to cut off funding to Greater Downtown Freeport and have the price in it at 0.
Well, actually, we already have a motion on the floor.
Okay. I'll make an amendment. I'll put it out for an amendment. I know it may get one vote, but we'll go for it.
Mayor,
Alderman Smith.
are we still in the discussion?
1 second.
Sure are.
So we have a motion to amend the motion, second to that first, before we go any further discussion on the amendment.
Okay, so we have a motion from Alderman Clem for an amendment to cut out the funding completely. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
So we have a motion made by Alderman Clem, seconded by Alderman Keister to amend this resolution to cut out the funding completely. Further discussion, Alderman Smith.
For the benefit of somebody who is new to this conversation, can I glean a better understanding of what their other sources of funding is or are?
Well, my understanding, a lot of their funding comes from the monies that they raise from their events. Alderman Mcclanahan, do you have more on that?
I don't have an exact breakdown. It's a combination of funding. Madam Brashaw, or Alderperson Brashaw may have a more accurate. I'll defer to her because it looks like she has something to say in regards to it, and I can fill in as needed afterwards.
Mayor, just procedurally, the discussion is supposed to be on the amendment only.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Alderman Chesney.
Thank you. Alderman Clem, we could reduce the funding entirely. I think in many cases, the city has had a tendency to lead with a heavy hand. And I believe that getting out of a situation that doesn't align with the priorities of the city council, this mayor, and what I believe most of the citizens, and surprisingly, the director as well, we could shove this down their throat, but I don't think that that's the way that we want to treat our private-public partnerships. I think that we have had a longstanding tradition of not appreciating the people that we ask to serve, and in many cases, not at a very good wage. In this particular situation, there was no backroom deal. There was always an interest in removing ourselves from FDDF and realigning our TIF priorities. And we, Alderman Mcclanahan, reached out to FDDF directors, Danielle Rogers, and said, what dollar amount will you be comfortable with? What dollar amount can you go back to your board and all the people that serve on your board and volunteer on your board, what dollar amount can you feel comfortable? And then what dollar amount can we arrive at that not only do you feel comfortable, you'll be able to exercise your business plan without being greatly impacted. As Alderman Mcclanahan's known, as well as Mayor Miller, this is a substantial amount of money to FDDF's budget, substantial. And their willingness to not come out of this kicking and screaming, I think, is a testament to the good work done by many people on this council.
I would agree.
Madam
Any
Mayor.
further discussion on the amendment only?
Madam Mayor,
Alderman Mcclanahan.
thank you. I believe the amendment would have an adverse impact on them, given that I believe their annual budget is, without getting any further specific than this, because I don't remember, but I'm pretty confident saying it's less than $200,000 a year for their total budget.
I think it's significantly less than that.
I think so too, I just don't want to exaggerate.
Any further discussion on the amendment? Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll on the amendment only for removing the funding immediately for FDDF?
Keister,
Aye.
Chesney,
No.
Clem,
Aye.
Mcclanahan,
No.
Ross,
No.
No.
Smith, Busker,
No.
Brashaw.
No.
Motion does not pass.
So we are
2 to
back
6.
to the original amended version of Resolution 2017-34. Any further discussion on the original amended version? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll on Resolution 2017-34.
Keister,
No.
Chesney,
Aye.
Clem,
No.
Mcclanahan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Brashaw.
Aye.
Motion passes 6 to 2.
Which leads us to item number 9, the selection of a chairperson. And
Hold it, time out. We haven't voted on the actual resolution.
Yeah,
Sure we did.
You voted on an amendment to do something.
No,
You never voted on the actual resolution.
no, we didn't. I made a motion to move it forward with the amendment that I noted.
Okay, sorry. Could I make a comment? No, it don't make any difference, never mind.
Item number 9, the selection of the chairpersons and vice chair for the Finance Committee of the Whole. Just want to do a little recap. In April, the council passed a resolution creating a new committee of the Finance Committee of the Whole. Being the purpose of the Finance Committee of the Whole is to review and discuss the finances and the budget of the city, working with the city manager and making recommendations. There is a selected annually amongst the alderpersons by a simple majority vote for both the chair and the vice. The Finance Committee of the Whole shall meet from time to time as called upon by the chair of the Finance Committee of the Whole, the mayor, or any 3 alderpersons. So just a little quick recap on that. So right now, I will open the floor for any nominations for the chairman.
Mayor.
Alderman Chesney.
I make a motion to nominate Peter Mcclanahan as chairman.
Second that motion.
We have a motion made by Alderman Chesney and seconded by Alderman Busker to place Peter Mcclanahan as the chairman. Are there any more nominations?
Mayor,
Alderman Chesney.
I make a motion to close nominations for chairperson.
We have a motion made to close the nominations by Alderman Chesney. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Brashaw. Okay, so, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll on the nomination for Peter Mcclanahan as the chair?
To close.
Oh, you have to take a roll on closing?
A motion was made and seconded to close the nomination
Okay.
process, so I would pick a vote on that first.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion to close the nominations made by Alderman Chesney, seconded by Alderman Brashaw. All those in favor of closing the nominations, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. So now before you is a motion to nominate Peter Mcclanahan as the chairman of the Finance Committee of the Whole. Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Keister,
Aye.
Chesney,
Aye.
Clem,
Aye.
McClanahan.
Am I allowed to vote on that? No.
No.
You don't
What's that? Abstain, thank you.
abstain?
Yeah.
Ross?
Aye.
Smith?
Aye.
Busker?
Aye.
Brashaw?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Okay, now I'll open the floor for the nominations for the vice chair.
Mayor,
Alderman Chesney.
I make a motion to nominate Alderperson Bradshaw.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Alderman Chesney, seconded by Alderman Busker, to nominate Alderman Brashaw as the vice chair. Are there any other, no, we have to vote on, no. Any other nominations for the vice chair?
Mayor,
Alderman Smith.
move to close nominations.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to close the nominations by Alderman Smith, seconded by Alderman Chesney. All those in favor of closing the nomination for vice chair, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. So now before you is the nomination for Alderman Brashaw as the vice chair of the Finance Committee of the Whole. Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
And Chesney made that motion. Who was the second on that, please?
Actually, that,
Closing or?
the closing,
The original nomination I missed.
that was Chesney and Busker.
Busker, thank you. And then for roll call, Keister,
Aye.
Chesney,
Aye.
Clem,
Aye.
McClanahan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Brashaw,
Abstain.
and I'm sorry about that. Abstain, so it passes 7-0.
Next, item number 10 is the action on the acceptance of a contract for fireworks from Melrose, presented by Alderpersons Keister and Clem.
Thank you, Mayor. One thing I want to do is apologize. I was going to email these to you over the weekend. My computer died. So I did not get it. I was lucky I was able to get them printed out today, and I do apologize about that because I hate to have anything come at the last minute, such as this. It's pretty much the same contract we had last year for $20,000. And it will be synchronized to music, and I'll give you a little, give you a little history on it. I just found out, not quite 2 weeks ago, the radio station will be doing nothing for the fireworks this year. They will not be broadcasting the music. They want nothing to do with it. The music will be broadcast at the fairgrounds only this time, unfortunately. However, if something else comes up, the music will be in a medium that we can broadcast it. If something comes up at the last minute, and I do apologize about this, we've worked for almost a year to try and change this and get it straightened out, and it's just not going to happen. A little more history on it. Because of the delay in finding out about the broadcasting the music and stuff, we've been delayed in our fundraising. We are not nearly as far as we were last year. Plus my own personal problems that are going on right now. And before we vote on this, what I want to do, I want to continue to work on this, but obviously right now I have my own personal problems. What I would like to ask, is there any other alderman right now that would like to work as co-chair with me on this, to help make this happen and keep this going forward, to be able to keep it moving if I have difficulties with my wife and stuff and cannot do it myself? Nobody?
Alderman
Madam
Keister.
Mayor.
I'm sorry.
Madam Mayor,
Alderman Mcclanahan.
I certainly think we all share a desire that we work, can move forward in regards to putting together good product for the city and for the fundraising. I don't think, I wouldn't take any hesitation by anybody by saying, wow, I don't want to be co-chair at this time as an indication on that. It's just, you kind of just pop
Yeah.
it.
And if I may continue, Mayor?
Alderman Keister.
And I understand that. I'd like you guys to think about it. I do have, Danielle Rogers, due to other obligations, has backed out of it, so she is no longer with us on this, but I do have, and I can't think of his last name right now, Dan, who has stepped up and done a wonderful job. As a matter of fact, I'll be meeting with him after the meeting to see how we're going on our fundraising and stuff. And while I'm here, I would like to ask Lowell if I could talk to him tonight or talk to him in the next couple of days about that. I would appreciate it.
Certainly, I'm available to discuss it. We're still, from a budget standpoint, we're still in a review budget.
And I understand that, and I would like to discuss that aspect with you. But this contract is like last year for $20,000. And again, we run into a lot of roadblocks this year, and the financing is not going nearly as well. So, and again, it's last minute, and any changes would be difficult to make at this time. So I'm asking that we approve it, and the city would make up the difference. We would, of course, give the city any money that we have raised. We will be raising money right up to and including the night of the fireworks, as we take free will donations there. Last year, we raised well over $1,000 just there, and we have several other fundraising options going in the very near future. Specifically, next meeting, I will have tickets. We're having a pancake breakfast at Applebee's, I believe. The date escapes me now. Give me just a second here. That will be June 17th, where we'll be having a pancake breakfast there. I will have tickets with me by next meeting if any of the other council members are interested. And we could also, if any of the council members are interested, we could use some volunteers to help serve that day as well. So we are not without options. We will have some money. I just can't right now tell you what we're going to have.
Alderman Keister. If my memory serves me correctly, I think last year you were tasked to come up with the entire balance, so it wasn't on the taxpayer. How much do you have so far?
I couldn't tell you right now, Mayor. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm going to be finding that out. And again, that was my full intent. We run into a lot of roadblocks this year with radio station problem and a few others that just didn't allow us, not knowing what product we're going to give them as far as advertising with radio station stuff. It was kind of difficult to go to anybody and ask for money. Now, we do have several people committed to donate money. I will be contacting them within the next day or so and raising that, collecting that.
Mayor.
Alderman Chesney.
Alderman Keister, have you reached out to the finance director to find out how this is going to be funded?
No, I have not.
Follow up.
Alderman Chesney.
Director, do you know how this is going to be funded?
Mayor?
Yes.
Alderman Chesney, no, I have not, because I have not had any conversation with anybody, so I have not even plugged a number for fireworks in the budget yet.
Well, it seems to me, Council, that there's some red flags before just passing something. We should probably know what those numbers are, where it's coming from, and then give time for the city manager and attorney to actually look at the contract. I'd hate to go through a contract that we don't know what it means. So, further discussion.
Mayor.
Alderman Keister.
I just want to say that I fully understand that and appreciate it. What I would ask is if they have time to look at it and come up to a decision if need be, we can have a special meeting as soon as possible, because to be able to make this happen, we're going to have to move on it pretty quickly.
Any further discussion?
Mayor.
Alderman Smith.
I guess my inference is that there's some sort of public-private split on the cost of this, but can somebody help me with the mechanics? I'm new to the conversation. I assume that there's fundraising that goes in through donations that help to traditionally fund the fireworks, but there must be some public money that goes into this too?
If I may.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, we formed a committee for the Sky Concert. The intent was to raise as much of the money possible to have the Sky Concert and turn this into an all-day event that the city can be proud of. Last year, we raised a little over $15,000. There were some issues with the radio station and a few other things that greatly delayed our fundraising efforts this year. We don't have a radio station right now that's going to broadcast the music. The only place the music will be broadcast is at the fairgrounds. Last year, there was $15,000, excuse me, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was $10,000 in the budget plus a $5,000 contingency to finance the fireworks. And we gave, can you help me out here? I think it was $17,000 we turned into you towards the fireworks?
Mayor?
Fine.
Alderman Kessler, I don't want to go on the record to say a number. I think it was between maybe 15 to 17,000. I can look at the number tomorrow and email that to everybody's concerned.
Okay, thank you. And we will have money to put towards it. At this time, I just don't know how much. There are a number of people who donated last year who have expressed interest to me. We have not received checks from them, and I will be spending the next 1 or 2 weeks going door to door, working with them on this.
Mayor?
Alderman Bradshaw.
Thank you. Alderman Keister, I realize you've had a lot of personal situations at home to deal with. This contract is dated March 23rd, 2017 from Win Kramer. Did he give you a deadline to have this signed by the city of Freeport?
No, he did not. The thing we've got to deal with is there's permits from the State Fire Marshal's office and stuff that we have to make the fireworks go. And I'm sorry, Mayor, I should have asked permission. I apologize. To make it go, and the sooner we can get it done, the better.
Thank you.
Mayor.
Alderman Chesney.
Alderman Keister, if this was an item that was reviewed by the Finance Department in conjunction with the City Manager's office, do you think that this is an item that we can pick up on the 5th?
We probably, if I may, Mayor, I'm sorry, we probably could. I will tell you that the best thing for me to say is I can contact Melrose Pyrotechnics tomorrow and ask them the timeline. And if there's some reason it does need to be done sooner than that, I can contact the city manager and the mayor and see what we can do about it to expedite it.
Mayor?
Alderman Chesney.
I'd make a motion to move consideration of the fireworks with Melrose Pyrotechnics to the June 5th City Council meeting.
If I may, Mayor, keep in mind that that gives us less than a month to get all the paperwork and stuff done. So, you know, if we can get it done and move it forward faster, it would help a lot.
So we have a motion to move this forward for discussion on the June 5th scheduled council meeting by Alderman Chesney. Is there a second to that?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Alderman Ross. Any further discussion? So we have a motion to move this forward to the June 5th council meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Mayor?
Alderman Keister.
If I may make 1 or 2 more comments about the Sky Concert. We do have a lot of stuff in place as far as the entertainment, food vendors and stuff right now. Unfortunately, due to my current situations, I don't have the current facts on that. I'm meeting with Dan after the meeting tonight to get those specifics, and I will have a report on that come the 5th.
Okay. Item number 11, public comments. Seeing none, we have item number 12, which is the adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion made by Alderman Busker, seconded by Alderman Keister for adjournment. All those in favor?